Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Bryson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22. 10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, Dancy, all around. Throw it as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver. You're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
All right, real quick, thank you everybody for joining us. Tonight we welcome on a very special guest, the cheer director for the Oregon Lightning, Mrs. Kerren Denae. Mrs. Denae is a multi-talented individual who cannot be defined by any one title, and you'll see just how much that is accurate here in a moment. But she's a songwriter, an author, a dancer, a mother, a wife, and honestly one of the most inspiring people that I've come across in my years of covering sports. Tonight we'll be covering many topics, including her role with the Lightning, her book, My Broken Brain, and a program she is building behind the scenes called No Athlete Left Behind. Without further ado, Kerren, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Super excited to speak with you. Like I mentioned before in the kind of lead up there, you are a super inspiring person. I often feel like there's not enough hours in the day. And then I meet a person like you who somehow finds all this time to do all these things that you're doing with your life. So, before we even get into it, how do you even manage to multitask all these different things you've got going on?
Well, I would say ADHD is definitely a superpower at times, but it's a accumulation of really my entire life. So I feel like everything that I've gone through and learned, it's all led up to this moment. So it just seems natural. And I definitely fall behind in things or can't get to everything at times, and I've learned to just take a step back and let the timeline happen and have priorities and trying to figure it out. And sometimes I don't hit that stuff and it's hard, but I am doing so much and I want to make sure that I'm giving everything to what I am doing. So that means sometimes I have to take a step back or just focus on one thing this week and one thing the next week.
I understand all too well. I've got a lot on my plate as well, so I can only imagine. But like I said, I kind of look at my load and then I look at your workload and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I need to be a little bit more efficient with my time or something because you seem to do a lot. So we'll kind of start on your cheerleading career and your dance career. I'm kind of curious, like, how did you get started in cheerleading and dance? Was it something when you were younger?
Yeah, so I actually started out cheering in 5th grade for my local youth football team. So it's been part of my life since I was 10 years old. My brother played football growing up, and I saw that they had a cheerleading team, but I unfortunately didn't get to sign up in time. So my dad called the Westview Youth Cheerleading and was like, my daughter's never done this before. Is there any way we could get her in? And they graciously let me start, and I started like 2 weeks late after like the season had started, but I was so thankful for that because it really it changed my life. And like 5th grade Kerren would have no idea that this is where I would be now, so like she wouldn't be surprised. And then in 6th grade I actually couldn't dance at all. Like I had no rhythm, and this is so embarrassing, but my middle school social, I don't know what song it was, but I tried to do like a body roll and like dance it out with all these people, and I got made fun of. Everyone started laughing. It was so bad. Even to this day, I like remember how awkward it felt. And then after that, my friend invited me to the dance class, and I told my mom I wanted to do dance team, and she kind of like laughed and said, "Oh, okay, like, are you sure? Like that's what you want to do?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I really want to do it." And so she signed me up for dance, and I haven't stopped dancing really since. So
that's an amazing
It's been a wild ride.
Honestly,
yeah, from a terrible dancer to now here I am.
Well, hey, I mean, that's kind of inspiring. I mean, it sounded like at one point in your life that might have been somewhat of a fear. So, I mean,
Mhm.
you kind of conquered a fear and made it, a strength. So, I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, that's just another reason why you're so inspiring. So,
thank
um,
you.
I know this role with the Lightning is not your first professional cheerleading role. So I'm kind of curious, like, which teams and organizations have you danced or cheered for in the past, and how does a person even get involved in professional cheerleading?
Yeah, so I started out dancing for my college, which was Oregon State University. I danced for the club team, and my sophomore year, I actually made the cheer football dance team. However, I did not pay attention to enrollment, and I was a dual enrolled student at that time, and I didn't realize I needed to re-enroll. And this was like a really pivotal moment just with my ADHD of realizing that you can lose out on incredible opportunities if you don't become aware of it and how it can impact you or if you don't slow down. And so that was really hard for me because I was so excited. I really wanted to do it. The coach called me and the dean of education got involved, and there was absolutely nothing we could do. So I ended up moving back to Portland and making Portland State's dance team and dancing for Portland State. And after that, I joined the Winterhawks Rosebuds dance team for one season and then moved to Eugene and actually didn't dance for like professionally for 6 years. During that time, I had my son, and the coach of the Rosewood dance team, Vicky Binkum, messaged me and was like, "Hey, there's a team coming to Salem. I know you're in the Eugene area. Do you want to try out? Are you interested in it?" And at first, I was like, "No, I'm a mom. I'm not in shape. I'm not doing that. I'm done." And another week went by, and I saw her posting about it again, and so I kept asking. And finally, 2 weeks before trials, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm 32 years old at this point, and I'm just gonna go for it." It's hard when you are older in the dance industry and then seeing all these young girls doing it. But it was so inspiring at the same time. Like, I can be a mom and I can be a pro dancer. I might have to work harder. I might have to dance in the middle of the night because my son was up all day or, just family life. But it was absolutely worth it. And I was so glad that I did it. And it completely changed where I was going. And because of that opportunity with the Oregon Black Bears, they were an arena football team with a league that unfortunately ended up folding. However, it led me to here. So that's where I met Chuck Jones, and he was the coach over for Oregon Black Bears. And when that season shut down, I was really sad because I was like, finally, like I get to dance again, and like the joy of dance came back for me because like in college and like for the Rosebuds, it's intense. You work so hard for this, and it is fun, but it's nonstop. And I was really worried about being a mom and being able to handle both of that. So I felt like going into the arena world, it was like the perfect mix of both of that and being able to handle being a mom and having all of that go on at the same time. And it was so much fun. There's nothing like arena football, and there really is nothing like cheering for football in general. Like, we have the best view, hands down.
I can only imagine, honestly, but I love how you put that there's nothing quite like arena football, and that it is kind of the perfect mixture for individuals like us that have families and other obligations outside of football. So
Yeah,
with the fact that it's only really a 3 to 4 month season, it makes it a little bit easier to manage for some of us. So I'm glad that you
yeah,
kind of mentioned that. But ultimately, I know you kind of glossed over it a little bit there. So you met Chuck Jones with the Oregon Black Bears last season.
I did. Yes, yep. I danced for them, and he was the head coach. So we only had um, was it 3 home games before our season ended up folding. So we didn't get to finish out our season, and after it ended, I kind of kept in touch with Chuck. And December of last year, so 2024, I had messaged him and was like, "Hey, any information about the Oregon Lightning or like what their cheer and dance program is? If so, I would love to audition to be a captain." And he was like, "Kerren, you don't have to audition for it." And I was like, "Yes, I do. Like, I want to earn that." And then they, behind the scenes, were talking about asking me to be the coach. And I had no idea. Like, that was never on my radar. Like, I've always known I was meant to be a coach. But it wasn't an opportunity that I thought that I would have at this time. And they asked me to come to the tryouts for football. And when I was there, Chuck introduced me into all of the people, like, "Yeah, this is our cheer coach. Oh, wait, if she'll say yes." So it was really special that they even thought that, and that I got introduced like that, because it was a dream come true, and it feels incredible to be here, and that how the season ended last year and how it's being like redeemed now is really cool, and all of us have this fire in us that we're not going to let what happened last year affect us this year, and it's just like we're ready to go.
I can definitely attest to that fact. Big fan of Chuck Jones. Talked to him for
Yeah.
multiple years at this point, and I think everybody was disappointed to see how things went for Oregon last year. So really excited to have the Lightning back, and I really hope this season just ends up being a dream come true for everybody involved, because I know Chuck and everybody involved with this organization has worked really hard to get back to this point. So really have a lot of people pulling for you guys, and I really hope everything works out according to plan this season.
Yeah, we're ready.
I
Meet us
can
on the
only
field.
can only imagine. So obviously you kind of mentioned it a little bit there. I mean, were you not the coach last year? What was your role last year?
Nope, I was just a dancer. The Vicky was our head coach, and then we had two captains who one of them danced for the Rosebuds, and then one of them used to dance for the Rosebuds and also had done like NFL cheerleading, and so our team was stacked. We were really good. So it's sad I didn't get to finish that. However, learning from them and just learning from Vicky over the years, I felt like really prepared me for this kind of role. I've also run a lot of kids programs. I started dance programs for underprivileged kids. I've gone into schools. I've got to dance in Haiti, Guatemala, and China. So I've gotten to do a lot of different opportunities with dance, and now it's just I get to help create this program, and it just kind of naturally flowed into it. It's hard. There's a lot to it, but it just made sense. And getting that background with arena football has now also helped me with this team, because now I understand what the games are like and what the crowd is like, and being able to hype up the crowd. So technically we're called Sasquatch Cheer, but our team is the hype squad, because we wanted cheerleaders and dancers, and we wanted our fans to like help hype us up and for us to hype them up.
No, I love that. Honestly, that's a big part of the arena football game. I mean, honestly, the fans play such a big role in everything that goes on with the home game. So I can only imagine that having a cheer squad and everything built in is only going to be a bigger advantage for Oregon in their home games. So I'm excited to see how that all works out for you guys. And I mean, this was not initially a question, but I mean, you just mentioned dancing in Haiti and China and all these different places. I mean, how did that come about?
Yeah, so I was 19. I've only ever lived in Oregon in my life, and through my church, we worked with a couple different organizations that uh, built wells and orphanages, and it was right after the earthquake, like the big earthquake in Haiti, and we went to do like a scouting team, and our program was amazing because for every American that we brought, we hired two Haitians. We hired two Haitians to work with us. So it wasn't like we went in and then just left the country and didn't help them at all. We helped them build into their program, and it was incredible. It changed my life. It changed my perspective. It made me realize like what actually mattered, and it lit a fire in me too, because these children, even though they didn't speak English, the one thing that they had in common was dance. There was this one point where it was like, I don't know, it was like 103 degrees outside. There was a makeshift hospital that was inside of an amusement park, but the amusement park was outside, and everything was just rubble. And the waiting room was under like this cover area, and when I looked around, everyone just looked like death. Like, there was no smiling. People were coming in just covered in flies, just their whole bodies. They smelled. It was horrible. And I remember thinking, like, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen, and my mind couldn't comprehend what was going on. And I was doing vitals because I was helping in the waiting the waiting room part, and there was this little boy who came up to me and asked if I would dance with him, and I just kind of looked like, is this appropriate? I don't know what to do, and I was like, yeah, of course I'll dance with you. So he grabs my hand and he runs me out into the middle of this cement like outdoor field with like literally like a Ferris wheel crumbling. There's tents that are popped up that they're doing surgeries in, that the surgeons are standing in inches of water. And this little boy, no matter like what was happening around him, he just, I don't know how he knew I was a dancer, but he asked me to dance, and if a little boy ever asks you to dance, you always say yes. So he got my hands and we're dancing, and all of a sudden this Mercedes Haitian car drives up to me. And in Haiti, our training, we were taught if a car ever pulls up, you back away as fast as you can. There's a lot of kidnappings happening during that time, and there was also 3 Americans that were killed during that same time that I was there. So it was very, very dangerous. Um, and my instinct said to back away, so I started backing away, and the man saw that I was scared, and he jumps out of his car, rolls all the windows down, and he said, "Wait, you forgot something." And I'm like, "Uh-oh, like I need to go." And he turns on Michael Jackson, blasts it as loud as he can. He jumps out of the car, 3 other people jump out of the car, and everybody starts dancing. Like every single person. All the people in the waiting room started dancing. All of a sudden there was like 300 children, and I have no idea where they came from. I mean, there was like a broken fence, but they hear music and they're just ready to dance. And it went from a moment of just death and sadness to all of a sudden everyone was happy. There was not a single person who wasn't smiling. And it just made me realize like the joy of dance and how healing that can be, and you don't need to speak the same language. And I wanted to dance around the world, and I got to do that in Guatemala. I went to Food for the Hungry, so we went to a small village in Chipotle, and they had been through a lot of issues with gorillas, not like physical gorillas, but the gang gorillas. And then in China, I got to teach a dance class, and no one spoke English there either, and the kids were incredible. So it's been really amazing all the places that I've gotten to dance, and doing that through also like missions work and helping people. And I mean, it's been wild.
That is an awesome story, honestly. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I did not anticipate that coming out during this
Yeah.
interview, but I mean, it just sounds like you've had an incredibly interesting run. I mean, up to this point, and obviously just getting started, really. So,
Yeah.
awesome to hear. But we're gonna shift gears a little bit because, you know, like I mentioned, but in the lead up, you are a person who wears many different titles throughout your life. So, one of them is author. So I wanted to ask you about your book, and it's called, correct me if I'm wrong, My Broken Brain.
Yep.
Can
That's it.
you tell us about a little bit about your book, where it's available? I mean, and what the premise of the book is?
Yeah. So growing up, I needed dance. It was my only outlet. My world was pretty much chaos, and it was like the one place that I felt safe. And that's where I also started to realize that my brain was different. And in school, I just remember sitting there thinking, like, this class is so pointless. Why am I taking this? And I know this isn't what I want to do. And I just started seeing the world very differently, but through, trauma and just like the whole American system. I thought I was broken. I thought I was bad, and I thought I was really stupid. And I believed that really up until the last like 5 years. And my siblings were very, very different than me. They didn't struggle with ADHD, and back then there wasn't like Google, so my parents didn't know how to parent a child with ADHD. And it really took like a toll on me. And it wasn't until like 5 years ago that I finally realized my brain wasn't broken, that I actually had a really incredible brain and that I was really smart. But people didn't know how to handle that. And instead of embracing it or learning how to be around people with ADHD, they try to like suffocate it. They try to take away the creativity and fit you into this mold. But the beautiful thing about ADHD is we forget or we just keep going. But I got to like a really dark spot when I was younger, and it was really painful, and I didn't want to be around anymore. And I realized through like my story and talking about that, so many of us with ADHD struggle with that, and nobody was willing to talk about it. So everyone just felt alone, and I realized like I had a story, and I wanted to write about it because I didn't want to be alone anymore, and I wanted other people, especially children, to realize their brain is not broken. We just live in a system that doesn't understand us, but we can teach other people how to like lead with curiosity and understanding, and that we can change the system. And getting to work in an after-school program, my favorite was working with the kids who were misunderstood, who had behavioral issues. And through teaching them, I is also what made me realize like my brain wasn't broken. I just had to find different things and avenues and become aware of how I was coming across to people, and I had to fix things. There was a lot of things that I had to fix. I had to get uncomfortable with hearing feedback and not taking it personally and realizing, wow, sometimes I interrupt people. Sometimes I speak way too fast and it sucks. But I had to do that hard work in order to fit into society. But once I got to that point, I was able to be like completely set free and start changing just this whole system. And through my book, I started writing about all of those and just some of the traumas that I went through and how I overcame them and how I went from my brain being broken to realizing my brain was actually really beautiful. But it was a journey, and it is really vulnerable writing a book. It's super uncomfortable, and I was talking to a fellow writer after, because I'm like, you just get like kind of depressed after you write a chapter. She's like, oh yeah, that's normal, and it does it like it makes you feel like this like weight is like off your chest, but then at the same time now other people can see your story, and it's really scary. I used to think like, are people gonna love me when they know this? Are they gonna accept me if they hear like some of the things that I've been through? And I just had to keep coming back to, it doesn't matter if they accept me. It doesn't matter if they love me. But there's a child out there, or there's a mom, or there's a dad, or somebody else who's gone through that same thing, and they're on the verge of not wanting to be here, and they hear that and they realize it's okay. And that to me meant more. And so when I started writing this and I started letting some people read it, I my eyes were like opened up to, I am a good writer and I have a story, and people would be like, wow, I had no idea you went through that. You're always so happy. Like, how are you so happy when that's some of the stuff that you've gone through? And it's because I had dance. I had that outlet. And so my book is really just about that transition and how dance went from a need to now it's a want, it's a joy, it's so much fun. But you have to get through the trauma, you have to be able to talk about it, and you have to realize that nobody's going to clap for you. No one's going to understand you until you understand yourself, but you have to do the hard work. So that book, it's coming out. I keep putting it off because I was really scared, and I wanted to wait until this was the ending of this book, of me ending on like a successful note. Now it's a three-part series, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's My Broken Brain, My Broken Body, and then My Broken, and I won't say what the last one is. But it's been a journey in itself, and we'll be able to find it. I'm trying to have it fully out by my birthday, which is in July, as like a present to me, and the end of the football season as like a, hey, you did it. You accomplished the things that you said you would do. But I do want to give a shout out to my freshman year high school teacher, because I didn't know I was a writer. I just knew I had words in my head, and like I'd hear things and like, well, that sounds cool. Or I'd like trying to rap in my room by myself. I'm not good at that, like at all. It's so bad. Or like I would print out I can't believe I'm saying this. I would print out the lyrics to Aretha Franklin's Survivor. We lived in an apartment, and I would belt it in my closet thinking nobody could hear me. And it was just like, I just felt her words. And that was like the first time I realized words were super impactful. And so then that next summer, going into freshman year, I started writing a little bit, and my freshman year high school teacher had us write a story. And afterwards, she came up to me and she said, Corinne, do you realize the gift you have? And I was like, what gift? I have no idea what you're talking about. And she's like, you're a writer. And she's like, I see it in you. I read your thing. And I started crying. I'm like, why would you cry? Who cries over something like that? And then I realized, like, when I read it later as an adult, it kind of shocked me. Like, I didn't know I could have those kind of words, because I was always known to be stupid. I always thought my brain was dumb, or like I struggle with dyslexia. I didn't know I could do that. And I had been conditioned to see myself the way that other people had seen me, and like seeing that, um, seeing that made me realize everybody has different giftings, and that a teacher recognized it in me, and I wanted to honor her by doing what I said. Because that freshman year, I said I was going to write a book, and now here I am doing that, and I'm dedicating it to Miss Monica Gorman. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did, and for seeing that gifting and like the gentleness that she spoke when she would like talk to me about that kind of stuff is really what made me feel safe to open up about it, and is what got me here. So she's actually going to be the first person that gets a copy of my book. But it will be on Amazon. It'll be in Barnes and Nobles. It will be basically anywhere that you can get a book. We're going to slow release it. So it can be a couple different cover options because, ADD, I got to test it all out and see which market it hits. And I don't want people to read it and think, oh, this is just a girl book. No, this is a book for men and women and children and adults. And my hope is that it would help heal families and give them the tools that my parents didn't have. Because somebody needs to do it and somebody needs to be brave to talk about it in hopes that it will inspire somebody else. Because I have some tools, but all together we can build a brand new system that it'll take time, but we can do it, and I believe in it. So
That's awesome, honestly. And I didn't mean to laugh when you said rapping.
Yes.
I laughed because actually I've never said this out loud before, but
Yeah.
I actually tried the whole rap thing at one point.
Yeah.
Definitely was not for me. That's why I'm, podcasting now. But
yeah.
I feel like
funny.
everybody at some point tries it. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple comments I wanted to run through real quick. Mahina Taylor Turner,
Oh
friend,
my gosh, this is live.
Yeah, this is live. Sorry about that. should have warned you ahead of time, but Sarah, she's also shouting out a couple people that hopefully will share this when they get it. But definitely,
guys.
If you're watching, make sure you hit the like button no matter where you're watching, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that stuff. So honestly, like I said before, just hearing more about your story, it's so inspiring to hear, what you've overcome, and then the fact that you're trying to turn around and help other people, through your experiences is awesome. I mean, a lot of people would just, worry about weathering their own storm, not necessarily, imparting their lessons on other people. So I really think that's awesome. But we're gonna shift gears a little bit and actually talk about the music side of things, because you mentioned briefly there, and it's also again in your Instagram profile that you're a songwriter as well. So can you kind of elaborate on what genres you write, what kind of lyrics you've written, and what kind of songs you've written?
Yeah. So originally, that was not a plan for me. But writing a book and that kind of goes hand in hand. And actually, just recently, only like 2 people know this, but I had a Nashville producer reach out to me and ask me if I would be interested in working with them to produce one of my songs. I write anything from worship music to heartbreak, love, country songs not rap. We'll stay out of that. However, I did write something similar, and it is in the portal to hopefully be picked up by somebody. But some of that stuff I can't really say because if they buy it, then they're buying the rights to it. And maybe I'll get writing credit if I don't do it as the ghostwriter. But it's super exciting. It's some of my songs are so bad and so embarrassing, but you have to start somewhere, and it's really nerve-wracking. I actually think writing songs is more nerve-wracking than writing a book, but it's really special to me. And if you have that dream or you have that feeling that you're supposed to do it, try it. Who cares if people make fun of you? Who cares if people are they're not good? There's so many times I hit the wrong note, or I'm off key, or my melody is not working, but I'm trying. And so many people are way too afraid to try. So try it. Social media is exactly how I got noticed by some Nashville producers. So go for it.
No, I love that. Honestly, I mean, I would like to think at some point that I can inspire people, because once upon a time, I always tell everybody I'm just a dumb mechanic, and here I am, running a media network and stuff like that. That's kind of grew out of me just being a football nerd. So, and it's brought me into a position where I can talk to a lot of amazing people like yourself that have great stories and learn a lot more about the people in the world, in the football world, that are not directly involved with football. So it's kind of awesome to be able to see so many different facets of the industry, and then also see people like yourself that are kind of dabbling in a little bit of everything, which is again just so crazy to think.
Yeah.
But so I mean, as if being a songwriter and an author and a dancer and all these different things wasn't enough, I mean, a couple months ago you reached out and you wanted to discuss a program that you call No Athlete Left Behind, which is yet again another inspiring thing you've got going on. And I could tell just based on how you approached me and the way you kind of gave me details about it, that you had such a passion for it, that I wanted to kind of just give you the floor to kind of tell us what the goal is for this program and how it all came about.
Yeah. So last year when I danced for Black Bears and that season folded, my eyes really opened up to how athletes are treated. Like I've always known, just especially being like a dancer, we're objectified, but so are the men. Football players are used for their bodies, and then as soon as they have an injury or as soon as they're done, they're just like tossed off. And like that hurt my heart because I was looking at my son one day and we're throwing the baseball, and I thought, if he's a pro athlete, what kind of program do I want him to be in? And I don't know, my heart was just really sad. And um, some of the football players for OBB were talking about what was happening one day, and I got mad. And like, I don't get mad a lot, but I'm like, why is nobody standing up? Like, we could be doing something. And I'm like saying all these things, and then I stopped. I'm like, wait, I can do something. I can help. Why am I not? Why am I not helping? And so I thought about it. I prayed about it. I like listened to their stories, and the more I heard, the more heartbreaking it was. And it was something that people weren't talking about. Like somebody who wants to go pro, like arena football. Nobody understands what these guys are going through. They don't realize they're not getting paid like the NFL, so they're leaving their families. They're coming here. Their families are having a hard time. Half the time, their families can't even fly to a game to support them. So then these men are all by themselves, and then they're basically conditioned to be alone again, to not have community, to not have people who know their names and like know their stories. And I said, somebody has to do something, so I'm going to do it. So I started No Athlete Left Behind because I wanted men to come into a football program and be better, or like to leave it better than when they joined it. I didn't want them to be tossed off. I wanted them, when they go to retirement, that they've taken financial classes, they've taken relationship classes. We all know the statistics with domestic violence. So let's get to the root of it. Let's talk about it. You hate women? Okay, that means somebody hurt you. You hate men? Let's talk about that too. Everybody has a story, and they came for a reason, and we have to be curious about that and giving them the tools to be successful so they aren't alone, or like knowing that these athletes, even though they're pro athletes, they're not making the money that they should be. So they're sacrificing things. So let's pay for someone's family to come out. Let's pay for shoes. Like we were at a practice one day, and I noticed a player was walking kind of funny. And me not even thinking like how this would come off, but I'm like, are you okay? And he says, what? I'm like, well, you don't have any arch support in your shoes. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, can you take your shoes off? Do I touch your feet? Like, I was like, I know this sounds so weird, but like, you're going to get injuries this way. And so, like Drew was talking, he had no arches in his feet, and he was getting injuries. He had to be wheeled off the field one time. So through No Athlete Left Behind, we were able to get him some really nice insoles that were created for football players, and to give those little things so that way he can be taken care of, so when he's on the field, more importantly when he's off the field. People care so much about these athletes performing for them, but nobody cares about them when they're not performing. Like they love to talk crap about them in the forums, yet they're sitting behind the computer or in the stands doing absolutely nothing when these guys are working their butts off. And it like lit this fire inside of me, one, because my son, but then also like these men who are the future of our country, they need to be taken care of. And sport bonds people. It's just like dance. It brings everybody together, like just like Friday Night Lights or like running on a soccer field, playing tennis, anything like that. And we really need to take care of our people. And so it is officially registered to the state of Oregon as No Athlete Left Behind, and it's targeted for pro athletes, which I get people who might have their stigma about that. However, if you have a stigma about it, then you should go out and join your local team, because something needs to be different, and we need to take care of our people. Like we love sports because of them, so we should also be giving them the opportunity to be successful after football or after sports.
No, I love that. I love that. Honestly, like you said, a lot of people don't understand what these guys are giving up, how much they work or how hard they work to get where they're at. And they don't understand that a lot of these athletes are making a couple $100 a game. You know, they're risking their bodies for our entertainment. And honestly, there's a lot of guys that will never be able to have the same quality of life after sports due to the injuries that they take and stuff for our entertainment. So, to all the athletes that happen to be watching this, just know that there are people out there that watch the sports and think about your guys' well-being after sports and how much you sacrifice for all of us as fans. So just wanted to throw that out there, and no athlete left behind. So make sure whatever you do, try and support that organization, because honestly, I can't speak highly enough about that. I wish there were more organizations out there like that to kind of provide and help these athletes, have a future. Because honestly, a lot of times, I don't think us as fans quite understand what these guys go through a lot of times. So I'm glad that kind of, that you were able to kind of impart that on some of the viewers tonight. And honestly, I wish there was more people that understood quite what these guys go through, because it's not an easy life to live, especially at this level. I mean, we talk about NFL athletes, and of course, when you're making millions, things are a lot easier in life, of course. But a couple $100 a game, and realistically, minimum wage type wages, it's honestly crazy to think about what some of these guys go through. So really appreciate that thought from you, and also the organization that you're a part of, because honestly, that, like I said, I wish every team had that going on for them.
Hey, and we can start it. Like, that's the one thing I really wanted to do about No Athlete Left Behind, is have Oregon Lightning be like a pilot program for it, and then you take whatever you want from this program. Who cares about licensing? None of that. I don't care. I want you to start it in your place. Like, my hope is that this would inspire somebody, that this would inspire high schoolers, that it starts somewhere. So, like, yeah, I'm just a little blip in this, but the whole community can get involved. It's free. And if you want resources on how to start this in your local program, reach out to us.
There you go. I love that. Honestly, like I said, I hope it catches on. I hope it catches on like a wildfire and spreads across the country, because it's a great idea. And I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from what you guys are doing, and kind of take an example and hopefully bring it to their own city. But kind of, again, shifting gears a little bit. I mean, there's so many different things that we can cover with you and your career, but you are currently in a dance competition. So I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this dance competition. If you could elaborate on how it works. I know that right now, if I remember correctly, you're in the top 10 now.
Yep. Wow, that sounds so crazy hearing that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is wild, because I was afraid to enter this contest, and like, I love Sierra. In 8th grade, we did like a little dancing to like 20-step goodies. So shout out Sierra. And I saw it and was like, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna enter it and just see what happens. And then a few weeks later, I got an email that said, you're accepted into her dance competition, and this is the next steps. And I'm like, what? Okay, let's go for it. And then I was really scared that people wouldn't vote for me, or that people didn't believe in me. And I didn't need them to believe in me, but then it was like embarrassing if I'm like posting this and I'm not being supported. Like, it's super vulnerable, it's super uncomfortable, but I've stepped into the fear before, and I said, okay, well, it's not the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me, so let's go. And then people started voting for me, and people started showing up that I didn't expect, and it was so overwhelming. And like, I feel like I finally, like, everything that I went through finally made sense. And so if I make it to the number one, and so there's 8 groups. If you make it into number one for your group, which I'm on track, then each one of us, 8 total, will go to, I think it's Phoenix, Arizona, to go dance in a Sierra music video and have the opportunity to win $20,000. And the $20,000 I would use to help fund No Athlete Left Behind. I would help use it for a local football coach who doesn't have a car, and he's going back and forth. Again, the pro industry, people don't realize what the coaches go through also to get there. And then I would use it to fund the rest of my dance team, and then also give an opportunity for people over 50 years old who want to start a new hobby like painting or learn music, to give them that opportunity as well. So, like, similar to No Athlete Left Behind, but just for our elderly community as well.
So basically, you're doing this dance competition to help a bunch of other people once again. So that's crazy. So how does it work? I know there's been like kind of separate stages that you've kind of worked your way through. So I mean, does it work its way down to top 5 next, and et cetera, et cetera?
Yep. So there's 2 more rounds, I believe. Which will go to top 5. So right now, it ends next Thursday to go into the top 5. So you get 1 free daily vote every single day. It also is raising money for charity, so people can buy votes, which is cool, because that will then go to a specific charity, which is really nice. That I don't know, it's totally my heart because I don't want to just dance to dance. Like I want to impact people. And so when I heard about this opportunity, I was like, that's exactly the kind of dance competition I want because we don't need to compete with each other just to compete. Like I don't need to be better than anybody. I just need to be better than me. And so like having that opportunity for it to be for charity as well, that I was like, let's go, let's try it, let's figure out what happens. And then now I'm here. So there's 2 rounds left. Like I said, next Thursday it is top 5, and then after that it goes to top 1, and then everyone from top 1 will go to Phoenix, Arizona. So I believe there's like 3 weeks left. But they could throw a curveball to competition, you know.
Absolutely. So how do we go and vote? I mean, where can we do that? Sorry.
So if you go to my Instagram, there is a link in my bio, and you can click on that. It'll take you through. You have to have Facebook in order to vote because they want to make sure you're like a real person. And then every 24 hours you get to vote. And usually the day before voting ends, your vote counts for 2 times the vote.
Interesting. Okay, and you said you can vote every day?
Every day.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, definitely if you're watching right now and you've been inspired by something going on with Kerren's story here, go over, vote for her, help her help even more people, because I mean honestly it just is so awesome that you're doing all this just to turn around and help even more people. Kind of fits right in with everything we've discussed tonight so far. But honestly, I mean, we could probably sit here and talk all night.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that you've got going on and stuff like that. But that is my last question for you. Before we get out of here and before I take up all of your night, I kind of wanted to give you the floor to shout out anybody you wanted to talk to, or thank anybody that you wanted to kind of give their thanks or anything like that, and just whatever you want to cover.
Yeah, I would say I hope I inspire the ones who think that their dreams are lost, or like the ones who are older, who think that they can't do it anymore. I think that's one of my favorite things about like arena football too is the men aren't just in their 20s. They're not just like 22 years old, but there's people in their 30s, and that's freaking inspiring because the older we get, we used to think that we were done, that like we are too old. And I don't know who ever started that, but that is not true. Like I'm 33 years old, I'll be 34 in July, and I've never felt better. So go for it. Look stupid. Who cares what other people say? If you have that like inside of you, like you know what I'm talking about. It could be anything. Like if you want to be a janitor because you get to affect somebody, that's important. If you want to go work at Burger King or be a barista or things like that, like do it. We care too much about what people think, and I hope that like my story would inspire people to push through all the chatter because man, especially if you have ADHD, it gets loud in your own brain, and you struggle with fear or just being better, but understanding that you are so worthy of being loved. Like what I tell my son is, there's nothing good or bad you could ever do that would make me love you more or less. And I think we need to tell people that more often themselves. And it made me realize too that no matter what I'd been through or what I've done or who I am, like I was so worthy of love. And once I started seeing that, I became free in my dancing again, and it brought the joy of it. Like I want the joy of sports to come back. I want people to be inspired and to go help people. I want people to see their local sports program, and especially like the single parents. My mom was a single mom, and I don't know how she did it. She went to all of my dance stuff. I don't know how she paid for it. Like I was a scholarship kid. I was an apartment kid, and like to see that even without being able to afford studio dance classes, like this is where I'm at. So it might have taken me longer, but I'm still doing it, and a lot of people aren't. So it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to get there, and don't listen to other people. Get it done. Work hard. Let grit, passion, and curiosity and understanding be like what you lead with, and be different than other people. And shout out to my family for supporting me through this, especially my mom, who, yeah, anytime I'm like, Mom, I dance, she's like, you need to go dance. I'll watch Eli, and just being so supportive. But my Oregon Lightning family, for sure, we're ready to take a championship home this season. I prayed that God would bring me a chosen family, and He brought me Oregon Lightning. And it's a team full of men and women who our feet touch the same dreams, and it's pretty inspiring to be around them and to see, especially like my OBB players and everything that they went through, that we're showing up and we're not letting the fear of it steal it from us. Like you can't take this from us. So we're ready for it.
Definitely love that. So if you're watching, make sure you go follow Sasquatch Cheer with 2 S's to also, follow the Hype Squad and make sure you're supporting them as well. And of course, go follow Oregon Lightning on all your favorite social medias. Their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they're pretty much everywhere, of course. And then also follow Kerren, make sure you stay in touch with her journey up this leaderboard for the Sierra Dance competition. Give her your votes, help her get where she wants to be so she can continue to help other people. Kerren, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know you're a very busy person. I'd hate to take up too much more of your time. Really appreciate you coming on and telling us your story. Honestly, this turned into a whole thing that I never thought it would be when we originally came into contact. So you're a very inspiring person. I hope you continue to chase your dreams and show the rest of us in this world that there's enough time in the day to accomplish every one of your dreams because you're doing a great job. So
thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I feel really honored to be a part of it, and thank you for following your dreams because you did and also got to share part of mine, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And, thank you everybody who tuned in. Make sure you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, of course. Again, follow Oregon Lightning, Sasquatch Cheer, Kerren, everybody involved. And then thank you guys all for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.